Olaf Standel is a writer for the Times of Israel, and he's obviously a total Zionist, and he's been trying for quite some time to get elected.
My name is Lizzie, I am an activist and I am on day 4 of a hunger strike protesting the UK Labour government's continued funding, arming and supporting of Israel's genocide in Gaza, forcing.
And here we are all these years later, more than a year into the US and Israel's unflinching and ongoing televised genocide in Gaza and now Lebanon in defense of a colonial occupation.
How many people?
Thanks very much for that.
I want to know how many people? How many?
I've been on the board for 3 years. A lot of what I'm hearing is new to me. It's really that we're not really hearing that level of detail because we don't have the time to get all the detail, but this has been so...
You're just going to say we cut the money in that?
Yeah.
We didn't hear from you normally. Now we've cut your money, we're hearing you now.
I'm not
Here we are. I've been doing this for 3 years. I didn't even care who you are. What do they f***ing pay you for, your teapot?
How does it...
I didn't even know that this is... What am I doing here?
We have put
I've been here for 4 years.
Going on around.
Let's go back to Israel digging all of these holes of torture and mass murder. These assholes are so good at digging their holes. That little...
It's an oxymoron, NTV, the humanity of Edinburgh City Council.
Thank you for that. I've got David.
too.
Have you heard of something called the creativity to consumption ratio? It's this beautifully simple idea that can help you spend your time more creatively. Essentially, you're just measuring how much time you spend consuming content versus creating art. A 50-50 ratio is probably unrealistic for most people, myself included, but if your ratio is 0 to 100, it's probably worth altering a little bit. Let's say, for example, that you spend 10 hours a week consuming content and no time at all creating anything. Next week, try just spending an hour making something. Could be a video, a poem, a drawing, anything at all really. And you don't need to post it or share it with anyone, you can just delete it right afterwards. But by spending that 1 hour, you'll be altering your ratio and moving yourself that bit closer to a more balanced relationship with content consumption. Cheers.
Buenas. Unplanned. That's how we do. The Agendalist Collective is back. Happy Wednesdays. Right. What do you mean this broadcast hasn't started yet? It has. Good morning, Nigel. Good to have you back. Let me just rearrange my windows. Morning, Sky Blue. Morning all. A good morning to you and what the X fam. What the X fam? What the Ox fam? It's a beautiful sunny day in the capital. I hope it's a lovely day where you are too, wherever you are. Madame Guy, bonjour. Good to see you back too. Well, you know, I thought better late than never, eh? I thought I'll save all my wires and that work for my wee connections are still in place. And it's good to know that some of the connections are still in place. So, unplanned, not advertised, we can't complain. What's been happening in the world? Good morning, everyone. Good to see the sun shining. Couldn't agree more. Sometimes it's the little things, isn't it? Just need that wee touch from the heavens to lift our spirits. Makes everything a little bit easier to deal with. I should give a wee shout out actually. I should give a wee shout out to the cats that joined me on Friday night. It was a good night, and to all of you who turned up, thanks for doing that. It was good, and I enjoyed it. It was a good turnout, and I think I managed to get it in the bag, you know. A few things I missed, a few technical errors as to be expected. But hey, we got there, so well done. and thanks for everyone that came, and we'll do it again. We'll sharpen it up and polish it up in that, you know. Watching this from a taxi in Bangkok. We are truly international. We truly are international on What the X. Welcome to International What the X. From where? From Bannockburn to Bangkok. Right. Without further ado, it is definitely the Agendaless Collective this morning because I haven't got a Scooby. Thank you very much for coming, Madame Guy. But I think that'll probably be the first iteration. I think now that I've got that cobbled together, a lot of people have been asking. A lot of people said, "Oh, really sorry, I couldn't make it." So I couldn't make it. Right. What's happening on the X sphere? George Patterson does this show called Lost in Music. It's really good, and he plays loads of great music. So it must be he likes to take requests in that. So I'll retweet George Patterson's Lost in Music show. I do try to catch it. It tend to be when I'm cooking, if I'm right. This is his SANP guy. I'll put up my thing. He's like, "Look shite. Heard there was about 10 folk in the crowd and had to be moved after BT shut down the original location." I don't know what that means. This guy doesn't like me. He used to have a face mask on. He's took his face mask off. Can't he please everybody, eh? You can't please everybody. Right, what's happening? Elon Musk. What is that? Danny. Keir Starmer will host an adolescent round table today with the creators of the Netflix drama, a group of charities and young people. John White says, "It all boils down to capitalism and the alienation it forges and fosters. Be much more pertinent if Starmer hosted a round table of clothing retailers with the aim of understanding how to buy his own suits." Okay. I find the adolescence thing quite irritating. I haven't watched it and I'm unlikely to watch it. I'll tell you why I'm not going to watch it. Because every single thing that's 4 hours long could be made in an hour. And I hate, you know, it's like, what did Apocalypse Now need to be made into? Well, obviously it was quite long, but it's like, it's not Apocalypse Now, is it? And I can't stand gritty British televisual dramas that want to condescend and patronise us and give us moral instruction. So I'm instantly hostile to such things. And the other reason, so there's a couple of reasons why I feel a deep aversion to it. I'm sure that it's quite well put together, and you know what I mean, it has its moments, you know, it would fail completely as a drama if it didn't manage to do that. But I think anything that's 4 hours long is 3 hours, or like, you know, 2.5 hours longer than it needs to be. And they also write for the second screen. All contemporary productions, all these producers and stuff, they write for the second screen. That means that they write for an audience that they already decide are looking at their phones whilst watching something. So this is the intrusion that communicative capitalism has had on our entire cultural experience. But also the thirsty enthusiasm in which it's been dappled on by the media and the press and the British political class. Some of the most morally bankrupt people and entities you could possibly conceive of are reaching to some, you know, twaddle as some kind of, you know, what would be the word? Is it totem or something, you know? I've not had my coffee yet, but you know what I'm saying. Anyway, a lot of people do seem to like it, but Chris Breaks. It was Chris Breaks. I met Chris Breaks on Friday night. It was very nice to meet Chris Breaks. Chris had made a brilliant, a really powerful piece about what peace means to you on EHFM, and he'd sent it to me, and I was like, oh, this is really cool. So I had to look at it, and then because I'd said, oh, I'll look at that. I'd seen that he'd messaged me, and I was like, I'll have a look at it, and then I checked it. It was really good. And then when I put it up, I seen that he had. It was a year before that he'd sent it, so we'll get there in the end. But Chris Breaks, a great musician, talented artist in Leith. Adolescence showing a drama that was to explain the issues to adults in schools where the kids already know all the points is utterly pointless. I could not agree more, Chris. I could not agree more. I was making this point myself, a similar point over the. It's very much the stable door horse bolted, you know. This idea that they want to now censor social media and clamp down on social media, you know. Well over a decade after they've honed an entire generation on it, you know. There's a whole subculture, there's a whole youth subculture exists now that most people who, even if you've got kids or whatever, you won't even know. The exposure to the vulgarities of and the perversions of immoral capitalism has wreaked havoc on their brains, and the contradictions of surrendering your entire society and culture to the market and then complaining when things go wrong. We're basically led by morons, we are led by idiots. If you'd come on Friday, you might have got a gist of what I was saying about how we have to reject the political class. But we really are led by a bunch of middle management fools who are basically, whose strings are being pulled by military industrial murderers. And unless you get rid of these people right on your doorstep, which means starting at your local council level and getting each and every one of them hunted to fuck, things are only going to continue to get worse. Folk like Andrew Tate are also to blame. I don't think so, Gregor. I think you're reacting to the hyper-sensationalist reaction sphere there. If you've got a society and culture that can't regulate having some teapot with his top off causing fucking influence in your youth, then it's no him that's the problem, pal. It's the system. Anyway. Who's on X? Who's cooking? God. I've got some cooking. Cod says cooking. Cod cooks. Trust me when I tell you. That man knows a thing or two about culinary skills. Anyway, so no, I won't be watching Adolescence. Scott C. Forbes liked my reply. That's because the biggest grifter in the world, Campbell, is you won't hear that now. Talking of COD needs to help me figure out some technical jiggery pokery as to why. Well, it's alright, I'll figure it out, but I'm just not spending the money to figure it out. But I'll figure it out anyway. This guy is a chancellor, yeah. He's actually a state plant, you know. He's worked for the security services. It's well known. Anyway, I called him a Janal, which you'll know if you're familiar with Patois. You will know what a Janal is. Graham Campbell's a Janal. Yeah, dirty Janal, you know. That's what he is. Andrew Tate. The attack on the welfare, on the disabled, and the PIP and everything it's just abhorrent, isn't it? What have we got? What kind of a political class have we got here? Well, we know. It's not like I've not been banging on about it forever. But it's bad, man. It's a rotten situation. I don't want to bring us all down with the sun shining. May Miles Thomas has put a thread here. Now, this is where we have to be careful, because even a stopped clock can be right twice a day and all that sort of thing. I don't mean that about me. I just mean about the person she's put the thread on, is this Charlotte Gill, who's quite a. But in fairness, this is a sort of content farming person, Charlotte Gill, from what I can tell. But she has said the odd thing that I thought was worth. Well, she's put the odd thing up, you know what I mean? I don't know if Adolescence is a psyop, but let's just say that Tender, the charity working in conjunction with it. Look, it's not a psyop, right? It's just a massive PR vibe, right? It's just a like a self-congratulatory sort of like, you know, a mutually convenient thing, like, you know what I mean, for the moralising political class morons like the hypocrites like Starmer that are going to sanction the sale of weapons to Israel to murder children, and over here lecture us about, you know, not letting our children be polluted by the evils of social media. What kind of a moronic situation is this? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense, you know. Regarding the disabled, are you worried about the euthanasia bill? I was worried about it from the off. I think it's a dangerous precedent. I think that we're moving directly into the notion of Logan's Run or whatever it was, or Soylent Green. You know, we're moving into basically you're of no use, you know, and you've not got any money. So look, just get yourself off here, you know. It's we are in capitalist dystopia. It's called being two-faced. Two-faced Starmer. Is that what you're saying, Gregor?
More faces than a town clock. I don't like that Starmer. He's got more faces than a fucking town clock.
Yeah, Logan's Run. That's where we're at, man.
we're all getting funneled into some dystopian death game. You know what I love about What the X, right? Is that when people turn up late, they apologise. Got Sharpie in my X chat. I am sorry I am late. Not good enough. 20 lines at detention after school. No, it's grim. It's grimness. It's genuinely grimness. Gavin Bruce. Gavin came on Friday. It was great to see Gavin there. The dog ate my laptop. Energy giants rake in £500 billion. Meanwhile, UK Labour take this supposedly difficult decision to go after the poor, disabled and vulnerable. Brilliant headline from the People's Daily, also known as Real Star. Right. We are actually in a crucial Morning Bob. Loved the show on Friday. Glad to see What the X back. And you, John Black. I must say, there was. I remember when we did the Q&A. I must say I was shattered. So I was a wee bit discombobulated with the Q&A. But somebody's like, "When's What the X back?" I was like, "Well, cool." I was like, "Do you join the chat or that?" He's like, no, I just watch it. I'm like, come on then. Lurkers demanding the return. It's like, come on, eh? So, but we are in a critical. We're at a critical phase in culture. And we need to be thinking about it. John White is correct. It's all about capitalism, and we need to be thinking about capitalism. In my IMHO, was that you, John? Respect to yourself, soldier. Aye, that's me, right? John's in. Tidy, mate. Well, I'm glad you came along, mate. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed it, I must say. I was pleasantly surprised. No putt in putters. What is Sky Blue saying here? How would that idea unfold over 50 years ago? We're talking about euthanasia. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to What the X. Today's subject is euthanasia. If you ever listen to I mean, they should just play people Radio Scotland anyway. That would drive people to euthanasia. That would drive voluntary. Please, I've had enough. Let me off this mortal coil. I'll tell you what I did do. I clicked it now. I went on. I quite like this mix. I quite like a wee bit the old drum and bass, the sort of liquid, atmospheric drum and bass. It reminds me of being a young, mischievous whippersnapper. I used to go to me and my mate. This is like reminiscing things of it. It reminds me of sitting in an Amsterdam coffee shop on like a Tuesday morning or something, smoking some strong weed, looking out over the canal, or the river, whatever it would be like. Take us back to those times. Take us back to the days before the Twin Towers fell. let's quickly go. I went to. Is that one there? I went to the Gyro Babies launch of their album on Saturday night. Dreams Are Mental. And I can honestly say it was brilliant, because I think the Gyro Babies are brilliant. The Gyro Babies album deserves Scottish Album of the Year. And I'm not just saying that, I'm saying it because it's brilliant. They're really good. There's a vibe. There's a mixture of style, and this, like, the songwriting is really solid. It's good vibe. Anyway, they did like a wee. See, that's the thing about Ouija's and Ouija Land. It's always had. It's part of it is like just the numbers, But there's things that Glasgow's always had the edge over. But there's reasons for that. That's kind of what some of my talk on Friday was about as well, about the historical issues with Edinburgh and culture and our media and whatnot. If you'd come along, you would have found out. Doesn't matter. I was delighted with the amount of folk that came. Let's have a wee look at how, and then they had a wee, they done like they had loads of guests on stage throughout, but this was a wee clip that I took off it, so I'll just cut to this briefly, and I'll be back in a second. Right, there we are.
Second hand gear passing from new clothes, feeding up the only pair of kicks you own. 44 represent your scheme, it was about taking part, not worshipping who's sold. Before the days of proper cutting two-tone, pioneers got it right down a smooth road for the art form for two-tone. Scene got a foothold and got bulldozed. The GSA didn't think graffiti was a discipline to any young artists and they wouldn't enroll. The irony is twofold, now they take on their students out to study all their murals. Never for the East buddy us. Now the academics want to study us. Oh, lucky us. You can't be smoked for 2 minutes in my time, mate. I'll put some fucking money up. Deal and deal. Fuck that shit. Deal and deal. Fuck that shit. Go. It goes. Deal and deal. Fuck that shit. Deal and deal. Fuck that shit. Gas. Make some fucking noise for gas. Glasgow settle never change, which is no great shame. I love her face as much as I love her name. She's insecure with a touch of pain, and she pleads her simple memories, talking trying to clutch her pain. She's seen enough to stake bottles and money games. Victims started soaking in the bloody rain. She's seen the headed and discriminated, being the bench when investigators. Always been a nigga that maintenance. Always been there for the catchy stages. Always been there for the catchy stages. Make some noise for yourself and the Gyro Babies and the podcast.
these things are the things that I bumbleclad talk about. And when I get so fucking upset, I don't bother blood clot talk English bumbleclad grammar. Cause them things that get me very bumbleclad upset. See? And all because, you know why? I am not singing darling, I blood clot, love you, and come shake my rask, and I'll swim the ocean and climb the mountain. See? And that not going to change me. See? Because I am going to kill the fuckery out there. And people is going to be in demand for the truth. People is sick and tired of hearing bumbleclot, get down, shake your fucking booty. See? People is sick and tired of hearing darling, I blood clot, love you. You turn on the fucking radio 24 bumbleclot hours a day. You hear darling, I love you. A man wouldn't sing to the almighty rasclat. Him love him woman more than the creator who create the sun, the moon and the bumbleclot star. I sick and tired of hearing that bumble blood clot. See?
Sometimes I lose my mouse, but I've got it back here. Peter Tosh, can't beat a bit of Peter Tosh. Anyway, that was a great vibe on Saturday night, and I would heartily recommend purchasing the Gyro Babies album. I like this, that's a good comment. Adolescence is now reaching knee-bending and Captain Tom worship levels of social and political contagion in the UK. Definitely. I'm so glad I haven't watched that shit, you know what I mean? I'm now going to actively hate upon it, you know, without even actually having seen it. It's also quite, you know, there was that thing where like Stephen Graham and the guy were on some like massive press junket, and I mean I think Stephen Graham's probably a decent he's a decent actor, isn't he? Whatever, you know. But it's like I saw like 5 or like clips of like about 4 or 5 different interviews, and he was going like, do you know that saying it takes a village to raise a child, right? And he was saying the same thing, and everything. It's like, oh, for fuck's sake, shut up, you Raj. It's like kind of like once it's there, you just say it. It's like we get it. And that, you know, it's like, right, okay. And I think that, like, I saw some other thing talking about, you know, like Brad Pitt had produced it or something, and he was sort of talking about this relationship. Brad Pitt gave them some money, right? That's why his name's on it. Brad Pitt had fuck all to do with anything to do with it, right? Brad Pitt's went, fucking right, sign it, like he's money, like fucking whatever. And this kind of like strange kind of like it's all hype, it's all bullshit, right? It's just everything is fucking shit. Anything that gets made gets promoted, and if you buy into the promotion of that, you're a sucker, right? Any cunt that writes some fucking book, any fucking person that puts something in it, unless it's like something genuinely that's made with actually from the ground up, like the fucking Gyro Babies, or like original culture, right? That's not backed by capitalist paedophiles, right? See if you're making art at the minute, right, and you've got something to say morally, right, and you can't say anything about Gaza, just get yourself to fuck, right? You've got nothing to say. You're just a gimp of the. You're what I refer to as a neoliberal culture merchant, right? You're there to get your bag. You're there to get the dollar, right? You want to tell us we should be interested in what you're talking about. I'm not interested. Yeah, fully expect to see folk on their doorstep applauding it tomorrow night. Yeah, pots and pans for adolescents. I've missed What the X as well. A healthy crowd here. Got a healthy crowd. 10:35. So what's everyone's plans today apart from grafting? Yes, Gregor. What is happening? What is happening is a stain on our collective human experience. And we have, look, what's the least we can do is say that we disapprove of this, right? Sì, comandante, hasta la victoria siempre. More madness. Matt Kennard says 2 days ago an Israeli military plane spent 3 hours circling off coast of Los Angeles, California, right next to the border with Mexico. Novara Media. Peter Hitchens struggles to name a single thing when Aaron Bastani asked what is something the political class got right over the last 40 years. The only thing I take from that is that people are beginning to use the term political class with increasing frequency. What is that strange orb behind me? And that's important. They must continually be reduced to the political class. Their party affiliation is but a ruse to deceive you, to deceive the gullible, the weak-minded and gullible. Let me have a look here. Here's a clip. Here is a clip off the talk. It's not the most scintillating clip, but it's a clip nonetheless.
Gaggle of artists and creatives had discovered a new land they called Leith. This is Paul Lawrence. He is the chief executive of the council.
House prices for 2-bedroom flats in Leith are up 12.5% compared to this time last year.
The problem with contemporary politics is the monopoly political parties have on our democracy. And the problem with democracy is that under neoliberalism, democracy itself has been subsumed by market forces.
He made a video of cars. The whole video is just a video of
What had I really exposed here? The superficiality of the neoliberal political class, or a horde of left-wing cosplayers and pretentious frauds. Thank you so much. We'll call it an end for coming.
Am I here? I'm back, yeah. Yeah, anyway, so like I say, thanks to those who did actually attend. And we will do it again soon in a similar form. John makes a point here again. I'm inclined to agree with it to a certain extent. I think it's worth being sympathetic to Corbyn, but it's also worth recognising the failures and limitations of Corbyn. John makes a good point, and it's one that we have to take. John's saying the man, Novara say, we pay into the system in order that nobody will starve, nobody will be homeless, no child will go without it. The system isn't working, that's why we need a wealth tax. Let's get on to this Gary Stevenson stuff in a minute, right? Because that's another thing that kind of... There's a lot of conflicting vibes going on for that, for me personally. But John says the man was literally in a position to take power and failed. His decency is not in question, but neither is his naivety. He failed his friends and appeased his enemies. Now he's a pathetic figure, reduced to these regular Gandhi-like statements. This is the important part of John's statement, in my opinion. The left needs to toughen up, and that there's a huge amount of truth in that, because Corbyn tried to play this kind of piecemeal kind of, like, you know, he tried to play when he was getting monstered and slandered for fun, you know. He reacted like some lay. He reacted like some sort of, like, you know, like village parish church dude, like, you know what I mean? He like, you know, like some minister or something, you know. And that was just like madness. He wasn't a great speaker either. He wasn't. He would ramble on. I want to talk, eh? But he would. But then you have to remember, he wasn't even meant to be there. It was kind of like a bit. The situation with Corbyn was kind of, I don't know. There's the guy Paul. Is it Paul O'Connor or something like that? The guy that I follow. He's very good on the Labour Party, but there has to be an abandonment. There has to be an abandonment of all party politics at every level, in my opinion. That's important. But it's true that the left needs to toughen up, and also, what is the left, and what does the left mean? I noticed this thing. Like, I'll sort of touch on this a wee bit just now. We'll probably come back to it in future times. But there's obviously this kind of thirsty excitement over this Gary's economics guy, and it's, oh Jesus, is this another? I don't want to put that stuff up on thing. The Gary's economics thing is like the people who are most excited about Gary's economics are middle class people, are middle class liberals. I remember when I was talking to Anne-Marie Ward, and she goes, you know, there's this cost of living crisis. Gary Fraser said the same thing as well. You know what I mean? It's like if you've been living in a particular economic bracket historically for a long time, whatever, then you've always had a cost of living crisis. It's only a cost of living crisis now that the middle classes are feeling the squeeze, and suddenly it gets given a nomenclature, and suddenly it becomes. Well, Sky Blue says a lot of people saying Gary's economics is a fake. Well, let me tell you what I think about Gary's economics, right? And from my rudimentary grasp of it, right? I think it's important that the conversation about wealth and about, you know, inequality is fed into, you know, continually. I think that's important because this is true. But the guy himself is. I noticed that I saw one wee clip. I watched two things that he did. He put on a long video. Well, he does a lot of long videos, but I watched one. It was about 12 or 15 minutes long, and he went on and on about stuff. He said he was going to come up with a solution. I said okay, so I watched it, and his solution was that everybody should join together. It's like sort of that was his solution. So it was basically like he was saying, and in a way what he was sort of saying was that we need a sort of raised class consciousness, but he wasn't using that terminology. He didn't use that terminology at all. That's essentially what he was kind of suggesting. But then he'll also say that he doesn't think that this is a left-right issue. And I think that's highly debatable in terms of, like, you know, people want to. If you can dismiss the notion of the left and the right, and you can allow the left to be categorised as this kind of like group of confused kind of middle class, kind of activist class, kind of slightly nauseating and irritating kind of group, which is, you know, what, or the liberal left, the left that the liberals that appropriated the left, if you like, then that's doing capital's bidding, in my opinion. That's not a wise thing to do. But the other thing about this Gary's economics guy was that I watched something the other day he was saying, right, and his strategy, right, was to, one of the things that he felt was vitally important for him to be doing, I don't know what this guy's called. There's a guy called, he does a podcast called Diary of a CEO or something like that. Anyway, he's some like big podcaster guy. And this Gary's economics guy was going like, we're going to go on his podcast, and then we'll get on all the podcasts and stuff. And it was like, basically, you know, forgive me for being a little bit cynical, but I was like, it felt like what he wanted to do was to be sitting in front of Joe Rogan in the next few months. And that was his kind of like idea of how he was going to make this whole concept work. And I'm not so convinced by that, right? That was my first sort of going like, well, what are you all about? You want to go on Joe Rogan? And then the other thing that he was saying that I'm completely and utterly in disagreement with was that he felt that the way to sort of influence, he basically wanted to lobby the Labour Party. He basically wanted to sort of incrementally influence the extant political class. That's a statement of retardation. Like, that is a mentally invert statement. Like, the political class and the neoliberal political class are an entirely bankrupt entity, totally and utterly bankrupt. And if we're to do anything democratically as a society and culture, it's to dismantle the monopoly that the political class have over our culture, over our society. You might think what's this? It was all a bit Life of Brian. What's that in response to? I've just seen that comment. I don't know. Where were we? You need to clear.
If I have to go,
my thinking is that whilst I agree with the gist of the message, I'm struggling to understand why him being good at trading and making millions makes him an economic expert. Listen, Gary's got a massive ego, right? There's nothing particularly wrong with that in a time. Yes, Corbyn being canonised by the masses, absolutely yes. Look, there's nothing particularly wrong with that per se, right? It's fine, you know. It's a time of populist ideas and big talk and all the rest of it, but it doesn't thrill me, and I don't find to me it's a very much the people that are getting excited about him are like momentum types. Is that music too loud in the background? Let me know. Blasting away. It's a kind of a similar kind of the fact he's invited on Question Time makes me suspicious of the guy. A lot of truth in that. You know, you're really only going to go on these sort of programs if you genuinely are no threat, and then if you do say something that is particularly contentious and threatening, it's going to get cut and edited anyway. This is neoliberal culture you're talking about. They're not going to look. You know, you're not going to get anything that is permitted to be within the mainstream has already sort of been, you know, de-toothed and defanged, if it ever had any in the first place. But fundamentally, the biggest issue I had with him was that, if you look back, it's just one of the most recent things he did. And he basically went, his entire sort of game plan was to essentially influence the Labour Party. Like, I'll be perfectly frank, actually, I'll go further. I think he lacks any political acumen. I don't think he has particularly any particular political acumen at all. I don't think he has he may be working class, of course, that's absolutely fine, but that doesn't necessarily mean he has a decent class analysis, and that's very important. That's very important. You're talking about power structures here that have been cemented over decades and decades and hundreds of years, really, essentially. And we're now at an apex, we're now at a critical point. You know, you've got people being murdered by drones, by people sipping milkshakes with a PlayStation controller. You're getting PIP removed from the disabled. and money redirected into arms manufacturing. Like, make no mistake, the evil bastards are in ascendance and are in control, and they want, you know, any pound that you earn, they want most of that back in their pocket to do even more nefarious acts with. The only way you can change that is if it's a systemic change, if it's a systemic level. People have to be honest about the game that's being played here. That's what I think, eh? I can't get too excited about Gary's economics, but you see liberals wetting themselves, pulling their wire over them, like, you know. That makes me more suspicious than the fact he's on Question Time is a sort of a liberal indulgence in any respect, you know. I agree, Bob. I couldn't believe when he said he wanted to try and influence Labour. That was the ultimate moment for me. I was like, everything that you've ever said up until, like, you might have said loads of stuff. As soon as he said that, I was like, I was like, dearie me. I mean, that was a proper like fucking head and hands moment. You're like, what? What an absolute throbber. Yes. How are we going to do this thing, Gregor? Come on, you're full of ideas. Gregor said, yes, the system is working as intended and must be dismantled. Well, it's Tuesday morning. We're here with an unadvertised. We've got 100 viewers on X. We've got 20 something in the chat there. A few other lurkers elsewhere. I'd say it's a decent turnout. Tomorrow is my birthday. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do. But if it's sunny, I'm going to try and spend it in the sunshine. That's what I'm going to try to do. Val Kilmer has passed away. Rest in peace. I like these. A touch harsh, mate. He's a good man with a good heart, demonised by a Tory media in this country. I'd rather have someone trying to do good than these evil bastards we have. John. No, respectfully disagree. Politics is a contact sport. It accordingly needs to be waged in heavy boots, not soft slippers. But John's right. You know, these are the same evil mofos that are going to take away, you know, winter fuel allowance. They're going to cut disability benefit. They're going to redirect funds into defence, and they're going to send people off to get murdered without a second thought, you know. Thank you. I tell you something about Taig Hickey, right? I tell you what. I tell you something, right? I've never been a big, you know. Social media comedy is okay, but there's a lot of it. It's easy to make, it's cheap to make and churn out, you know, and so people put it out, and it's like sometimes it's okay, sometimes it's naff, you know. But I don't. Sometimes I find that guy a wee bit kind of like, oh, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, whatever. But you know what? Full respect to him, because he's not been ashamed to, or afraid to. He's not been afraid to tackle that situation, and for that he has my unending support and respect. And so now, respect to that guy. I commented on something that he'd put out the other day there, and you know, it was like I thought that guy has been steadfast in his solidarity with the Palestinians. You know, they murdered those aid workers. You know, they obviously just executed them. There was like 15 of them or something. I saw that yesterday, and I think the defining moment of our contemporary culture is the moral hypocrisies. It's the compartmentalised moralism, as if somehow what's going on here, you know, if we weren't selling them weapons, if we weren't actively involved, you know, it's well documented. We are 100% complicit. We're complicit in a tyrannical regime of demonic, murdering bastards, and that stain goes right down to every aspect of our suffrage. You know, we elect these parasites, and these parasites then facilitate the actions that have gone to murder these human beings. We're not disconnected to this. And the smallest piece of responsibility that we have to take is to take a stand, even if it's just an individual basis, you know. Corbyn's debate technique was merely glancing disapprovingly over the top of his glasses, like a brilliant school teacher, never a leader. That's totally correct. It's very correct. We needed to. Thanks for all these pre-birthday wishes. It's much appreciated. But you know, where will it all lead? What will it all lead to? Well, listen, it was an unplanned. I thought I actually wanted to just see technically what was needing to be sorted out. I'm going to do a crowdfund for What the X. I'll be starting that soon. We need to raise a decent amount of money to keep this going and to expand and to do the things that we want to do. So I hope you'll all share that and support that if you can. I think we've proven over the last 6 months or so that, you know, we've got a good concept here and the potential is grand. But like anything, it does need support. So I'll be hoping that everybody that tunes in, even the lurkers, will support me in doing that. I think we need independent, unrestrained media, and I would be more than happy to help bring that to you. So I'm going to depart now, and I hope that you all have a fabulous day in the sun. Bit late to the party, but you will watch this later. That you better. It was nice to see. I met Beldam Lascar on Friday night, and I was quite saddened. It wasn't not that I didn't want to meet him, but it's like sometimes when you've never actually met somebody in real life, you kind of want to keep it that way forever. Like, oh no. But nah, it was cool to meet you, bro. Thanks very much for coming along. Right, so I'm going to. You should hook up with Labour. I hear they can be easily influenced. I told that story about how Labour asked me to make a film for their 2019 campaign, and then they told me they never had enough money. I'm like, oh, you fucking make it fuck, like, you know. Anyway, I'm going to leave yous with another brilliant slice of gyro babiness. It's the latest. What the Hex is going down on Vi. Amurs Concept. I like this. I don't know what that is. Fail. Val Kilme. What is my people? What's your passcode? Thank you, Matty Ross. Have a magic birthday. One love, everybody. I'm going to leave us with the Gyro Baby's latest video. It's another slice of Scottish magic. Honestly, Gyro Babies need to be given the Scottish Album of the Year. They're fucking brilliant. This is Gyro Babies and Fancy Man. And I will catch yous when I'm back. I'll be putting up a note of when I'll be back. But I will be back. I'll be back. Right, have a great day, people. Ciao.
Dorfland. A man about town, that's a fancy man. On the property ladder, a multi-million-dollar man. Na fancy man, na fancy man, na fancy man, na fancy man. Fancy man. Jiggles his keys and flashes his passes, latties and karates and pilates, Versace's.